Police say a Northside murder victim may have been killed after he interrupted a break and enter. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Ryan Benazzo. The Thunder Bay Police Major Crimes Unit is investigating the city's fifth homicide of the year. A 67-year-old man is dead and investigators continue to search for a suspect. Police responded to a 911 call late yesterday afternoon and arrived at a home on the 100 block of College Street where the victim was found deceased. Acting Inspector Chris Carlucci says police don't believe the victim was targeted, but they do suspect the home was the site of a break and enter that was possibly interrupted by the victim.
Upon arrival by primary response officers, police located a 67-year-old male deceased within the residence. Members of the Major Crime Unit and Forensic Identification Unit attended the scene where they determined this to be a homicide investigation. It appears at this point that this may be interrupted break and enter in progress, in which are led to the death of our deceased. At this point, the police are urging the public for assistance. We're asking anyone who may have dash cam video or video surveillance in and around the 100 block of College Street to come forward.
The murder scene was still being held by police as of this afternoon. They say more details will be released as they become available. A Thunder Bay man has pleaded guilty to dangerous driving causing death in connection with a collision more than 2 years ago that claimed the life of a 34-year-old woman. In the early morning hours of March 23, 2023, a vehicle crashed into a tree in the area of Lion Boulevard and Rita Street. The female passenger was trapped inside with serious injuries and later died in hospital. The driver, 37-year-old David Thomas Edward Anderson, left the scene, but police followed a trail of blood from the crash site to a nearby home where he was arrested. Today at the city courthouse, Anderson pleaded guilty to dangerous driving causing death and failing to comply with probation and release orders. A sentencing hearing is expected to take place on February 4th. Forest fires raged across the Northwest during the spring and early summer months due to a dry start to the season. The Ministry of Natural Resources has now released year-end statistics which show their firefighters were a lot busier than during an average wildfire season. Joey Langdon reports.
First marks the official end of the 2025 forest fire season. It was one of the busiest years for M&R firefighters in recent memory, as several First Nations had to be evacuated, including Deer Lake and Sandy Lake. In total, at least 11 communities were directly affected by wildfires this season. Chris Marchand is the fire information officer for the region and is based in Dryden. He says their fire crews were stretched to the max during the late spring and early summer.
Yeah, it would be fair to call the 2025 wildland fire season a very busy one in the Northwest. Also of note was most of the region was under a restricted fire zone for approximately a 1 month period from mid-May into mid-June. And we thank the residents of Northwest Ontario for helping to reduce the chance for human-caused fires during a period of high fire activity for us.
There were a total of 435 fires across the Northwest region in 2025, burning more than 5,600,000 hectares. These numbers are a lot higher than last year, which saw 218 fires burning less than 70,000 hectares. Although there were slightly fewer forest fires than 2 years ago, the ones we had this year were much larger and much more destructive, as the 2023 total hectares burned was a little under 325,000. While the 2022 fire season still holds the record for the quietest year for fire crews in recorded history. Marchand says while this season was particularly damaging to area forests, there's always a chance for this to happen.
What happened this season is a potential for every season. It just comes down to the weather patterns of the day, how they roll out in that early spring. When you have several consecutive weeks with very little precipitation.
Northwestern Ontario is almost always going to be a hotspot for forest fires, especially as the planet heats up. But the hard work of firefighters, both from this region and from out of province, continue to keep the worst of it at bay. Joey Langdon, TBT News.
We now know what company's name will be on Thunder Bay's new indoor turf facility when it opens to the public next fall. TBT has reached a tentative deal to sponsor the facility at a rate of $50,000 a year for 10 years. The building will be known as the TBT Multiplex. Back in August, Council approved an exception to the city's sponsorship and naming rights policy, which allowed city staff to negotiate directly with a single company. The company, though, wasn't named at that time. The sponsorship money will help cover the operating costs. TBT has scheduled a news conference for next Thursday to officially announce the naming rights agreement. The City of Thunder Bay is on the right path to creating safer, more connected cycling routes, according to a local advocate. A new recreation trail is currently under construction along Oliver Road and is expected to be done by next spring. Meanwhile, a multi-use trail on Central Avenue is almost finished. Jessica Clement has the details.
Construction is now underway on a new trail connecting the hospital on Oliver Road to the intersection at Oliver and Balmoral. The $400,000 project is part of a $2.4 million contract for improving active transportation throughout the city. Active transportation advocate Ken Shields is excited about the development of the new multi-use trail on Oliver and thinks it'll be a useful connection between the regional hospital and Balmoral.
So this will be a nice east-west link, getting people off what we could see here as is busy motor vehicle traffic. It's a share the lane road, but most people are a little bit intimidated sharing the lane with vehicles that are going typically 60 kilometers an hour.
Excavation and gravel work is expected to wrap up before winter, with paving in the spring of 2026. The city is also planning to set up a pedestrian bridge over the river next to the hospital to fully connect the trail. The bridge is expected to cost around $1 million and will be put into the 2026 budget for council approval.
It's just another connection that gets us just a little closer to what I see as Memorial Link, because this project and Central Avenue really illustrates how tight spaces like Memorial can have multi-use trails.
That other new paved trail along Central from Memorial Avenue to Tungsten Street is nearly complete, with crews currently working on paving the trail and putting in turf. The city also had to build a small bridge over a drainage ditch, bringing the total cost for the Central Avenue Trail to $950,000. Shields says the two projects bring them closer to having a multi-use trail system around Thunder Bay.
Super encouraged that this is happening as part of the Active Transportation Master Plan, and that date for having completed is, I believe, about 10 years from now. So this is kind of a larger step towards that goal of having, and especially the north-south pieces. Connecting to those north-south pieces will come next.
Jessica Clement, TBT News.
Ontario's Environment Minister officially announced plans today to create a new Conservation Authority agency and consolidate the province's 36 conservation authorities down to 7. The government insists there won't be any job losses and that it will improve efficiency while spurring development. But of course, many people disagree. Here's CTV's Siobhan Morris.
It's an overhaul of the agencies that manage and protect Ontario's watersheds, a system the minister in charge calls fragmented, inconsistent, and outdated.
Has not been working for homeowners or for builders or for farmers or even for municipalities who are dealing with as many as 4 in Hamilton, for example.
The proposal is to collapse Ontario's 36 conservation authorities into 7 regional bodies and set up a central agency to oversee them. McCarthy insisted over and over no jobs would be lost.
We will redeploy any management positions, for example, through consolidation to frontline workers.
Up to and including CEOs earning more than the Premier. The reason for the change.
The motivation to build critical infrastructure faster, to build housing faster, to get national projects in the ground faster.
That emphasis on building has drawn condemnation from the opposition.
It's completely illogical. I feel they failed science class.
This is setting aside all the environmental protection that those authorities are supposed to be doing so that someone can make a quick buck.
Critics warn it could mean homes that are more susceptible to flooding.
It will be very difficult or impossible to get insurance for new buildings that are constructed in a way that infringes on floodplains or floodplain risks. So there is a huge financial risk to this as well as a human safety risk.
Minister McCarthy believes there can be balance.
It's not a cliche. We need to build the Ontario of tomorrow while protecting the environment.
But the Green Party leader worries Ontario hasn't learned from expensive and disruptive summer flooding in the GTA and the historic hit from Hurricane Hazel in 1954.
81 people tragically died, 8,000 people made homeless. That's why we have strict conservation rules, and that's why local expertise is so critically important.
The legislation to establish that centralized agency will come in the next few weeks, but the collapse of the 36 conservation authorities into 7 regional bodies won't happen until early 2027. At Queen's Park, Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
And it's unclear at this time exactly what this will mean for the Lakehead Region Conservation Authority here in Thunder Bay. The LRCA says it'll review the proposed amendments to the Conservation Authorities Act when they're released for consultation. The LRCA notes it'll continue to operate without disruption during the upcoming transitional period. Well, one of the historic boulders around Vickers Park will have to be moved back into place after it was dislodged by a vehicle involved in a car accident. The boulder was moved several feet after a car and an SUV crashed at the corner of Arthur and Selkirk Streets around 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. City fire officials say there were only minor injuries. The boulder bears the name of city pioneer John Joseph Vickers. It's one of 4 white-painted stones that were placed at the corners of Vickers Park when it was built in 1905. City Parks crews said they were going to try to move it back into place today, but if they need special equipment, that'll be done next week. City officials were joined by the color guard from the Slovak Legion this morning to raise the poppy flag at City Hall and kick off the Royal Canadian Legion's poppy sales leading up to Remembrance Day. Starting tomorrow, people across the city will buy and wear poppies to honor those who served in the Canadian Armed Forces. A small crowd gathered to see the raising of the special flag. Mayor Ken Boshkoff, who's been open about the fact that he won't run for re-election next year, reflected on what will be his final Remembrance Day as mayor.
It's kind of emotional, I'll say that. So the fact is, I'll still be coming to these later on, as I have over the years. So because this is for all citizens, whether you're elected or not. So I'm hoping that we can get a larger crowd participating at some of the events that are happening throughout the city.
People forget so easy. You got to do this every year. I remember years ago, a girl in grade 7 didn't know what a Remembrance Day was about. So I hope it's better now. I hope. That's all I can say about that.
Well, Legion branches are distributing poppies now for a donation to help improve the lives of veterans. There will be numerous Remembrance Day events around the city on November 11th. Elementary schools around the city celebrated Halloween today at a variety of different schools and a variety of different events. At St. Jude's School, a Halloween dance-a-thon was held to raise funds for the school. It's quite the party. Students gathered in their school gym to dance the day away in their costumes. The kids managed to raise over $3,000, which will help with supplies and everyday operations. In addition to the dance-a-thon, St. Jude held a raffle for students to win various prizes. Special education teacher and dance-a-thon coordinator Franca Craikman says the prizes added some excitement to the event.
So last year, we did it a little differently. We didn't have all of those gifts. We have 30 gifts plus, or prizes plus another 6. We actually reached out to the staff at our school and we just said, if you have a community contact, if you wouldn't mind using it, and they came through with us, or for us, sorry. And it's been great. We've been overwhelmed with the amount of prizes that were donated to our school.
Among those prizes up for grabs were a TV, tickets to local sporting events, and a lunch with the school mascot. Well, there are Halloween tricks, and then there are Halloween treats. Thunder Bay's Sharon Badani got the sweetest treat of all today when she found out that she'd won more than $2.6 million in this month's Thunder Bay 50-50 draw. Hospital Foundation President Glenn Craig was a bit coy about it on the phone, but Badani grew more and more stunned as she realized what was happening.
What do you think I'm calling, Sharon?
I don't know.
Did you buy tickets in the Thunder Bay 50/50?
Of course.
You do? Do you buy every month?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
And do you know what happens if you're a regular supporter?
Yes.
Every once in a while, you know, your number comes up.
Okay, Glenn. No, I got to sit down.
That's probably a good idea, Sharon.
Yeah. Are you sure, Glenn?
I am calling the winner of the October Thunder Bay 50/50 right now.
Oh my God.
By the end of the, you're going to be on the 6 o'clock news.
Oh, and I didn't even do my hair.
Well, you look absolutely fantastic, Sharon. All we're focused on is that 2.6 million watt smile of yours. The Hospital Foundation team delivered her the check personally today, and all of her friends and neighbors came by to help her celebrate, saying that it couldn't have happened to a better person. Tickets for next month's big draw are already on sale, and the winner will be notified on November 28th. All right, well, so great to see. Love to hear the emotion from people and see the smiles as they find out that life-changing news. And
it's a big deal.
It is a big deal. In the meantime, Fiona, you and I continue to be in a pickle with no winnings to speak of.
One of us is definitely in a pickle because, you know, the weather is a little cool today.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little gray. Although we did see a little bit of sunshine, but there is still a little bit of a chance that we might see a flurry or two. It is that time of year. Today, we topped out with a high of 8. We had a low of 3, and it was mostly cloudy with winds very light from the north-northeast, 6 to 16 kilometers per hour. Across the region at this time, temperatures are pretty consistent, ranging from about 1 to 3 or 4 Celsius for the most part. Couple of outliers. Sault Ste. Marie sitting at 6 under mostly cloudy skies. Everywhere else, though, temperatures barely moved today. It was very consistent. Now, Red Lake has been fluctuating between 1 and 3 Celsius under mostly cloudy skies. But Fort Frances, under cloudy conditions, well, the temperature really has barely moved for the last 24 hours. Since 7 o'clock last night, that's when they hit 4 Celsius, and it's been between 4 and 5 since then, currently sitting at 4. Greenstone was mostly cloudy for most of the day. They've been fluctuating between 1 and 2 Celsius all day today. They had a brief bit of rain this afternoon. At this hour, they've got a little bit of wet snow. Just started in the last hour. And here in the city of Thunder Bay tonight, we're going to drop down to a low of 2. So once again, we will be above the freezing mark under cloudy skies and that 30% chance of flurries. So if you're a parent following your kid, I suggest you stop, get yourself a coffee, something just to keep your hands warm, and just enjoy it all, because there's only a 30% chance of flurries. I think that's pretty good. But we'll have to see how much trouble I'm in after tonight.
All right, well, sounds great. I will join you in a costume a little later in the cast when it's a little more appropriate for me to do so. But yeah, a lot of parents, a lot of kids as well, excited about Halloween.
Absolutely.
Great costume. Love that one. Well,